Imagine that someone tells you very seriously, almost as a rule of life, if you want a real harvest, you need a big garden. You need dug-up soil. You need strength in your back. Most of us heard this long ago. Some of us believed it for decades. And for a long time, maybe it was true. Or at least, it felt true. Now imagine something different. Imagine that this is not true anymore. Because there is another way, a quieter way, a simpler way, a wiser way. While some people are still bending over rows, dragging heavy hoses, fighting weeds that seem to grow faster every year, others are calmly harvesting tomatoes, peppers, green onions, and fresh greens, right from buckets and pots. No digging, no aching back at the end of the day, no rush to keep up with anyone. Just plants growing where it's comfortable for you. This way of gardening becomes especially valuable after 50, 60, 70 years of age, when life itself gently suggests that peace is better than proving something, and comfort is not laziness, but intelligence. Today, I want to show you how ordinary buckets and simple pots can sometimes give more than a large garden bed ever did. Why plants grown this way are often healthier, cleaner, and easier to care for, and how you can create a garden that works for you instead of quietly working against your body. If you ever felt that gardening has become too difficult, if your back reminds you of every season you've worked the soil, if you've thought even once, maybe my gardening days are behind me, stay with me. This video may change your mind forever. Let's talk honestly for a moment. Many people reach a certain age and quietly carry a heavy thought inside. I can't do it like I used to. My back hurts too much now. I get tired faster. I guess this is just what getting older feels like. And slowly, without saying it out loud, gardening starts to feel like a test you're failing. But here's the truth that often goes unspoken. The problem is not you. The problem is the system you were taught. Traditional gardening asks a lot from the body. Year after year, it demands bending, kneeling, lifting, digging, pulling, carrying. When we were younger, we paid for it with sweat. Later, we pay with pain. So when gardening becomes hard, it's easy to turn that frustration inward, to feel guilty, to feel weak, to feel like you're losing something important. But age does not mean you need more strength. Age means you need more wisdom. And wisdom asks a simple question. Is there a better way to do this? Container gardening, growing vegetables in buckets and pots, is not a step backward. It's not a compromise. It's not giving up. It's an upgrade. It's the moment when experience finally takes the lead. Instead of fighting the ground, you lift the garden to meet you. Instead of battling weeds, you remove the battlefield entirely. Instead of guessing what the soil might do this year, you decide. Many people who switch to containers don't do it because they can't garden anymore. They do it because they don't want to suffer for it anymore. And that is a very important difference. Think about it. Over the years, you've learned patience. You've learned observation. You've learned how to notice small changes, early signs, quiet signals. Those are exactly the skills that container gardening rewards. This is not about doing less. This is about doing smarter. And once that idea settles in, everything begins to feel lighter. When you grow vegetables in the ground, much of what matters is out of your hands. You don't fully control the soil. You don't fully control the water. You don't fully control the temperature. You don't fully control what lives in that soil. Some years are good, some are frustrating, and often you don't really know why. But when you grow vegetables in a bucket or a pot, something shifts. The garden becomes smaller, but your control becomes greater. And that control is what brings comfort, confidence, and surprisingly good harvests. In the next part, I'll walk you through why container gardening isn't just easier on the body, but often better for the plants themselves. I'll show you why this method gives you calmer days, healthier vegetables, and a sense of clarity that many people haven't felt in years. And then we'll talk about specific vegetables, real, familiar ones that grow beautifully in buckets and pots without demanding strength or strain. If this way of thinking already feels like a relief, you're exactly where you need to be. When people first hear about growing vegetables in buckets and pots, they often think of it as a small solution, something temporary, something you do when you don't have space. But with time, many gardeners discover something unexpected. The smaller the garden becomes, the more control they gain. And the more control they gain, the easier everything feels. In a traditional garden bed, the soil is a mystery. One year it's heavy and wet. Another year it dries out too fast. Sometimes plants struggle and you don't know why. You try to fix it, but the ground has its own plans. In a container, the soil is no longer a mystery. You choose it. You feel it with your hands. You see how it behaves day after day. Many gardeners notice that plants in pots grow steadier. Not always faster, but steadier. Leaves look cleaner. Roots don't fight compacted ground. Water doesn't disappear deep below where roots can't reach. And perhaps most importantly, you're no longer guessing. Moisture becomes something you understand. You lift the pot slightly and feel the weight. You touch the soil and know if it needs water. There's no standing there wondering if you should turn on the hose just in case. Over the years, many people notice that container plants suffer less from sudden problems. Heavy rains don't drown them the same way. Dry spells don't stress them as much. You're able to respond gently instead of reacting late. Temperature is another quiet advantage. In early spring, the ground is slow to wake up. Cold soil holds plants back even when the sun feels warm. Pots and buckets warm up faster. They catch the sun from all sides. This gives plants a calm, steady start. And when the weather turns too hot or too rough, containers can be moved, just a little, into softer light, out of strong wind, closer to the house where conditions are kinder. Protection becomes simpler too. Fewer weeds appear because there's no open ground inviting them in. Many soil problems simply don't arrive because the soil is fresh and separate. Fruits stay cleaner, lifted away from splashing dirt. Year after year, gardeners quietly notice this pattern. Less chaos, fewer surprises, more calm. Container gardening doesn't remove the joy of growing. It removes the struggle. When people first hear about growing vegetables in buckets and pots, there's almost always a pause of quiet doubt. It sounds appealing. It sounds simpler. But a question lingers beneath the surface. What can I really grow like this? Not what looks impressive on a seed packet, not what works only with perfect soil, perfect weather, and endless time, but what grows reliably season after season for real people who want calm, not struggle. For many, tomatoes are where that doubt begins to soften, not the sprawling giants that demand space and constant correction, but smaller and cherry varieties that grow with balance. In containers, tomatoes receive water more evenly, and many gardeners notice fewer cracked fruits, fewer hidden problems, and cleaner harvests overall. The plants stay visible. The fruit stays off the ground. And because everything is closer, changes are noticed early, without bending, crawling, or guessing. Peppers often feel as though they were designed for container life. They love warmth, and pots provide it naturally. Containers warm quickly in spring and release heat gently throughout the day. Over time, many gardeners notice sturdier pepper plants, thicker stems, and steadier growth. Peppers dislike sudden changes, and containers give them the consistency they quietly crave. Green onions offer a different kind of reward. They ask for very little space or effort, yet they give back again and again. You cut what you need, and they calmly regrow. Many people keep them close to the house, sometimes right outside the door. That proximity changes everything. Gardening stops being a scheduled task and becomes part of daily life. Lettuce often restores confidence. It grows quickly. It forgives mistakes. It doesn't demand perfect timing or long seasons. In containers, lettuce stays cleaner and easier to manage. When one round finishes, another can begin without disruption. That gentle, repeatable rhythm helps people trust themselves again. Herbs like basil and parsley deepen that sense of ease. In pots, they remain clean, accessible, and simple to harvest. Many gardeners notice that when herbs are nearby, they're used more often. You don't save them for special occasions. You reach out, take a leaf, and feel anchored in the present moment. As confidence grows, curiosity naturally follows. Radishes are often one of the next discoveries. They grow fast and provide clear, honest results. In containers, many people notice smoother roots and fewer disappointments. You plant them, you water them, and before long they're ready. That clarity feels reassuring. Carrots surprise many gardeners as well. Not the long varieties that demand deep, flawless soil, but shorter types that grow comfortably in pots. Container soil stays loose and welcoming. Roots grow freely, without stones or compacted ground. Harvesting becomes simple. No digging, no strain. Bush beans settle into container life with ease. They grow upright, stay contained, and produce steadily. Many gardeners appreciate how easy they are to see and pick when grown in pots. There's no searching, no crouching, just calm, straightforward harvesting. Cucumbers, when gently guided upward, also thrive. In containers, the fruit hangs freely, clean and visible. Many people notice fewer damaged cucumbers and simpler care. Because the plant is close, nothing hides or goes unnoticed. Even zucchini, which often feels overwhelming in the ground, behaves differently in a pot. Smaller varieties remain more contained and easier to understand. Gardeners who grow zucchini this way often say they finally see how the plant works. That understanding replaces frustration with confidence. Spinach fits naturally into this quieter rhythm. It appreciates steady moisture and attentive care. In containers, spinach often stays tender longer, especially when it's close enough to observe day by day. And then there are potatoes. This surprises almost everyone, yet many gardeners have discovered how well potatoes grow in buckets. When it's time to harvest, there's no digging. You simply tip the container. The effort disappears, and the joy remains. What all of these plants share isn't size or category, it's temperament. They respond better to care than force. They thrive with steady conditions instead of extremes. They reward attention, not strength. And that's why they belong in buckets and pots. Many experienced gardeners have noticed this year after year. When the garden gets smaller, attention becomes sharper. When attention becomes sharper, problems appear earlier. When problems appear earlier, they are easier to solve or they don't appear at all. It's not about chasing bigger yields. It's about stable yields, reliable harvests. Harvests that fit naturally into your day rather than taking over your day. There's no need to start big. One container is enough. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the Still Growing Seniors channel. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and tell me which vegetables you'd like to grow first in a bucket or pot. Your experience matters here. Thank you for spending this time with me. Until next time, keep growing calmly and wisely.